Alright, welcome back, and in this video I'll be talking and showing something a little bit interesting and a little bit weird. As you can see, it's a empty street and a couple of houses in the background. It looks pretty empty. Yeah, this is basically Generation Zero in real life, if it was like towns and small villages in Sweden. And this is a town that I'm not sure how to explain this, but I found this article that said, don't move to this town. I'm not going to say which town it is, but it said, don't move here because it's completely empty and boring and nothing really happens here. And by looking at it, it sure doesn't look too nice to live here. Maybe for older people, because there's not a lot of cars and noise and whatever. But I thought when looking at these images, they looked very eerie and very creepy. Kinda resembles Generation Zero in one way, because it's Sweden. It's, this is modern day. It's not 1980s, but I wish it was. That would be really cool. Now, I took, like, 2 images, or 1 image, and tried to make it as retro 1980s as possible, and I'm not sure if I did it too well, but I tried. And I also did a pretty cool thing with Photoshop that I'll also show you later. But yeah, we're just gonna look through these images and kind of talk about them and see what's so eerie about them, and you know, all that kind of stuff. So this first image, it's, well, as I said, an empty street, and no cars, no people, just a bird, and this camera guy. There's some abandoned stores and some houses that don't really, you know, it's just a normal street, really. The gray sky, the lights, and that goes on for miles, and yeah, there's not really much to say in this image, but let's move on. This is on the same street as this one, just down here. And this also has the same kind of atmosphere as the last one, and it looks pretty abandoned. I mean, if you look at the sidewalk, there's not even pavement. There's just like small rocks and grass growing through the rocks. So I mean, and even here, you can't really see any cars or people in sight. There's just this, I think it's a sign, I'm not sure. But yeah, the sky is gray here as well, obviously. And it just looks very abandoned, in my opinion. Alright, so this image, you can see it even better that it's almost no people and no cars. I mean, there are cars in the background, of course, they're parked. But there's a rabbit in the middle of the street, which just shows that there hasn't been anyone here for a long time. I mean, nothing scares it away except this person, maybe. But yeah, it just looks really eerie. I would love to walk down this town at this time to just look around, take photos, just as this guy did. So yeah, it looks very Swedish, by the way. And that's the thing. If it wasn't Swedish, then yeah, it wouldn't look too close to Generation Zero, I guess. Moving on. All right. Now you might recognize this if you're German, but yeah, it's a store, very popular in Sweden. So that's something. But this is a parking lot in front of this store. I know how the store looks like. It's pretty big, it's pretty popular, but there's no cars, no people. And that's the road that we were just on, that goes up here. And there's no people anywhere in sight, no cars, not anything. Just gray sky, buildings and signs and lampposts and trees. That's basically it, and I love that. His is just a wall that says theater. Believe it or not, that's theater. But I thought this was a really cool image because it just shows that no one really cares about, taking care of anything really. It just doesn't look too nice, too good to live here. It doesn't look nice, basically. And yeah, this is the same place, but this sign and this wall is over here, right here somewhere. And this is the theater. It looks absolutely horrible. It almost looks Soviet, in my opinion. That's how bad it looks. That's the name. It's an actual name of a person, but whatever. So yeah, that's a theater. It looks really, I mean, it looks cool. Really, it really does look cool. And I would love to be in this town at this exact moment, just walk around. This is a train yard, and I figure out that this town has a train museum, and this is basically where the museum is. I don't fucking know how to pronounce that, but yeah, the trains don't look too well. I mean, for a museum for trains, they don't look too nice. They should be in a much better spot. And this is like there's like stores in a U shape right here, and they're just all closed, no cars, no nothing, construction going on somewhere over here, but no one really else is there. And it just looks a bit off, in my opinion, because there's like, oh, stores here, and then over here in like a U shape, and then there's forest in the back. I've been like on Google Maps and checking this forest out. There's just a forest, a lake, and then nothing else, just forest, and that's it. It's so, yeah, I don't know, it's eerie in my opinion. And just the windows here, I mean, they have like iron bars. I know what those are for. I mean, those are for people not breaking in, but the windows just don't look too nice. There's some lights that are on, but some are off, So that's a really cool eerie image, I guess. This is another street, and it's a pretty popular street, I'd say. It depends on what part of the town you live in. But it just looks empty, eerie, and I could imagine a Phoenix tank walking right here and scouting out the area, trying to see if there's any survivors and trying to pick them off, So yeah, that's a really cool image. Really like the brick houses and the wood houses and the pinkish color on this house. It was just nice, I guess. And the overgrown bushes in this area. I mean, I think that's illegal. If the bushes grow over a little bit more, you have to cut them. So that just also tells that it's pretty desolate and abandoned. And for example, this over here, there's like trees over here growing out. There's actually supposed to be a walkway, I assume. And there's just fucking trees here and bushes, and it just blocks the way, really. This place, it's like a giant share, and then there's like a roundabout that goes here. But there's a factory in the background that makes chairs, and this has been abandoned for I don't know how long. I mean, there's nothing inside here except just a bunch of shit, and I think it's being used for like musical stuff, and teenagers that don't really know what they're doing or want to do, they just go here and mess about, and yeah, that's pretty much what it is now. It looks very Soviet, in my opinion. Very, very Soviet. And no, this is not a chimney. This is a tower that looks like a tower. It's not a tower that you can actually walk inside. It just, yeah, just for fun's sake. And this is the back, and you can actually see how Soviet it looks. It just, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but yeah, it just doesn't look nice. Everything's overgrown and it's not in use. And in this town, there's a TV mast that just sits in the middle of the forest with a bunch of cables running up to it to keep it in balance, I guess. And it goes much higher than the clouds. And there's like a little bird, seagull sitting here on the lamppost that looks rusty and bad and stuff. And that just looks really cool. Right. Here is like almost the middle of the town center. It's like on the left, pretty much. And this is how it looks. This is what you see when you drive into the middle of the town. This is where the train goes, and this is a police station slash family reception thingy. I don't know. But there's some buildings in the back here, some apartments, and they just don't look nice either from what I've seen. Now keep in mind, these photos were taken back in 2009 and some 2011. I'm not sure which was taken when, but yeah, I have been in this town, and it looks better now. It does look a lot better now. But there's still stuff like this is still in this town, but not a lot of it. And they improved on a bunch of things. And yeah, this is outside a very popular pizzeria, which is right here. And it's just an empty big ass wall here, a tree, and yeah, it just, why? And I gotta say something, there's about 50,000 or 60,000 people that live here, or maybe 30, I'm not sure, but now it's a ghost town. Okay, I had to say that, so just... This is in middle of the city, like where all the shopping centers are, where all the stores are, most of them at least, and there's just nobody. Most of the stores are closed. I'm not sure what day this was taken on, but I think it was on a Saturday or even a Sunday. I'm not sure. That could explain why there's so little people around, but as you can see, there's not a single human in sight. No one, literally, except this doll, but that's not a human. But yeah, same street, just he has walked a little bit forward. This is a really popular steakhouse, I guess. And this street just kind of goes on, and there's absolutely no one to be seen in sight. And yeah, here's a gallery, or whatever it's called in English. I'm not sure what it is, but it's like you walk inside, and there's like stores here, stores there, and there's really no one walking there. That's basically what it is. And yeah, this image is just, you know, him standing over here and looking over this street. And this is probably one of the best images because first, there's an old car, and second, there are no one to be seen in sight. What I remember, there's a huge factory here that looks very Soviet as well. It just doesn't look very nice, you know, to live in. But it looks very close to Generation Zero if they would actually make a town like this. But in Generation Zero, they have towns like Östervik, which only has, or most buildings are wooden houses, typical Swedish wooden houses, and there are apartment buildings on the left of Östervik, and there's actually one of those parts in Generation Zero in Östervik that has apartments actually exists in this town, but I'm not sure if there's actual images of that. But I will try to find something like that. But just saying, looks really cool, and it really does remind me of Generation Zero when walking around here.